At the center of the continent of Africa is Congo, 4 times as large as France. 2.5 million square kilometers, 60 million inhabitants, 50% of African water resources, 15% of the world's forest reserves. It's often said that the Congo is a geological scandal because the Congo has the world's 3rd greatest mineral resources: gold, silver, diamonds, copper, cobalt, petrol, malachite, uranium, tin, iron, zinc, and coltan. But this country, rich in mining deposits, has for decades been the prey of rival factions fighting over the treasures, especially coltan, which attract the superpowers, dragging the Congo into a merciless war and leaving its people in appalling poverty. In 2001, the United Nations, in view of the alarming nature of the situation and following demands for action by the international community, asked several NGOs for a panel report and unanimously voted a total embargo on coltan. These were the main recommendations.
All the industries that use coltan should recognize that there is, without any doubt, a direct link between illegal coltan mining and the conflict in the Congo. The coltan crisis could be seen as an opportunity to tackle a complex problem in an innovative way. Let us choose to unite the power of the market with the authority of universal ideals. Let us choose to reconcile the creative forces of private enterprise with the needs of the disadvantaged.
You work as a family here?
Yes, we work as a family. We're used to working like that. We work more or less 8 or 9 hours. It depends on everybody. You can produce, but it's the price that's the problem. At the start, the price wasn't that good, but now it's really awful. You work very, very hard, but they buy at a terribly low price. And even when the product is well washed, the trade is made in very difficult conditions.
Very difficult?
Yes. And you can work like that all day long and only earn about 5,000 or 6,000 francs, which is worth about $1. I'm practically a metallurgist. I know the product well. I know how to work the product in furnaces and I know how much they make when they sell it. And it's us at the bottom who get the product they want, so they can get the finished product. They make more. They make too much in regards to what we earn, and it's us that suffer. We've too many cave-ins, fissures that collapse. There are cave-ins and it's just too dangerous. It's the women who do the sieving. My wife, when there's a good layer, she's happy because she does her 25 kilos in as short a time as possible. And when it's not rich, it's very difficult in any case, because if we do that, it's not what we want to do. Me, for example, I'm a metallurgical engineer, and look what I'm doing as a job. Every day we have to come because one day missed, one day's absence means practically one day going hungry. Other countries should know about this and try to help us a little, as best they can. France should know about us, know about our suffering, or rather sufferings.
But France knows of your suffering.
Yes, yes.
That matters.
It matters a lot. It even matters the most, because we can't live on $1 a day.
Do you have any children?
Yes, I've got 6.
6 children who are at home waiting.
Yes, and they're waiting for me to go home to start cooking. We eat more or less at 10 p.m. with $1 for a family of 8 people.
8 people, $1 a day.
Yes, a day.
The price of coltan has exploded by 2,000% in 50 years. Nowadays, it is indispensable for our electronic industry. Coltan, also known as tantalum, is a rare metal, slightly radioactive, twice as dense as steel, strongly resistant to heat, corrosion, and can absorb powerful electric charges. It is found mainly in Central Africa, in the Congo, which provides 80% of the world's needs. This precious mineral is collected in deep mines, open-cast mines, and watercourses. Most coltan mines are worked using traditional methods, and often by families of miners. These Congolese miners call themselves independent miners, and they are unjustly called the illegals. Nowadays, some large mines are worked by foreign companies, Chinese amongst others. The raw mineral collected by the illegals is sold to little trading posts in the bush, to be sold on in turn to purchasing agents who refine it and send it by boat to China. Since the embargo of 2001, China has become the hub of the coltan business.
You've got coltan? Yes, yes. Good quality? That's coltan.
Delivered to the metallurgical industry, coltan is transformed into tantalum in blast furnaces, thus becoming a precious metal which is used to make the capacitors used by all the electronics industry. It is found everywhere in our everyday objects: microchips, laptops, PCs, mobile phones, GPS systems, calculators, television screens, cameras, game stations, surgical equipment, dentures, aircraft jet engines, satellites, and in all miniaturized electronic applications. Since the embargo voted by the UN after the panel report, which remains a declaration of good intentions, nothing has changed for the population. But in 2006, through its own determination, the Congo held its first democratic elections with universal suffrage. Joseph Kabila was elected first president of the Democratic Republic of the Congo after free elections which were hailed by the entire international community. 4 provinces, each one greater in size than France, are now directed by elected governors. Re-establishing working administration quickly would guarantee equal distribution of the country's wealth, the first steps of this democracy born among the ashes of a never-ending war.
More than 30 million Congolese were able to go to these elections. They chose their republic's president, they chose their members of parliament and senators, provincial governors, and beyond this revolution, which I would call democratic, something else has happened. We understood that this country, with its huge dimensions, couldn't be developed, so there are now provincial assemblies. Provincial representatives elect themselves governors, so there's a change which I would say was as much horizontal as vertical in the structure of power. We've got a role to play. We are a key country in Africa nowadays. Consider that in Africa, that Congo is the centre. There's South Africa to the south, and you have Nigeria. This ensemble together with countries like Egypt are going to act to change the image of Africa and also play a part in the evolution of the world and all of humanity.
Coltan is found everywhere in the east of Congo, in open-cast mines, in holes dug by hand, in the rivers and streams. But the story of men in coltan, grey gold, is tragic. The front line of war closely follows the road of the coltan mines. Blood has flown to collect grey gold with bare hands, ripped gram by gram from the ancient black earth of Africa. In this mine run by independent miners, and like in a lot of other mines, the men work in totally unsafe conditions.
We go down the mine from 7 till 3.
Is it hard down there?
Yes, it's hard.
And what do you find down there?
There's copper and cobalt, and there we also find coltan.
Is there a lot?
There's a lot.
Is it mixed with other metals?
It's mixed with other metals. There's iron, and then there's zinc, and we find cassiterite.
What are you doing that for?
That's for sifting.
What's here?
Copper and cassiterite. This is the main shaft. You can get out at least 1,000 sacks. That's 50 tons a day.
And are there supports down there or not? Isn't there a risk of a cave-in?
No, it's got supports. It's really well supported.
It's supported with wood?
There's no wood, it's the ground and the shaft system. We make staircase shafts.
Staircase shafts?
Yes, we make staircase shafts.
And how many meters does that go down? 40 meters?
No, it's 5 meters for each shaft.
5 meters. How many shafts?
We've got 7 shafts.
7 shafts. And there's no wood, and it goes down like that.
There's no wood.
But can it collapse?
No.
For sure.
For sure.
No one's ever been killed there?
No. On this plateau here, no one has been killed since we started, and that was in 2002. This is where we go down. This is an abandoned part. Let's go to the other side. Here we go. Just to the face. Here we are, we've got to find the seam. Okay, go in front. Here we're 30 meters down. He's called Gabisto.
This is malachite stone. Let's go. Let's go. That's mixed with cobalt. And that's coltan.
Oh là là. Et ça pareil. Oui, papa maintenant. Ongolais, papa. Ongolais. Ça, c'est la mort.
Oh, that's deadly.
Aïe, tu touches mon quinto ata. Ah. Oh là là. Deux colons à nip. Oui, Bambe. Ah, Bamba pas capoué comme colop.
Pourquoi? Au moins de
De, monsieur ma torche. Attention. Monstre, attention. Attention.
Okay, everyone through here. Everyone through here.
Moïse.
How many sacks do you fill each day?
We fill 200 sacks a day.
It's a mine which produces 1,500 sacks per day, divided by 5 teams, which gives us 30 tons here every day. Here are the seams which you can see. These are the seams which you can see here. This is another seam which produces a lot as well. Everyone here works in this gallery. Thank you, everyone.
There's another gallery that produces a lot as well.
Here are the sack pallets that we put in place. Here's the sack. Here's the sack. Here's the sack. And here's the product. That there is the hematite, which is about 50% copper and 20% cobalt.
C'est un produit qui nous fait 35 à 40% de teneur du cuivre.
Hématite, ça c'est cuivre. Cuivre, cuprite, hématite de rouge.
Papa, apa? Alors, les amis.
Okay, guys, let's go.
Bon, merci.
Ten. Voilà. Pack up. Ah, voilà. Voilà ce qui sort là-bas.
See what we have here? Here. That's malachite. The mines have to be safe because there are what are called cave-ins, because there's always a danger when you're working down there that the mine collapses. That's why, if there's the slightest problem of collapse, a safety measure has to be put in place.
In reality, the miners have absolutely no safety measures. The mine shafts and galleries are deep and descend up to 50 meters beneath the surface. The mountain which hangs over them doubles the load and the risks of collapse. The galleries are never supported. Here, there are no checks or safety commissions, such as there are in Europe. No miner will accept talking to us about the dangers of the mine, a question which casts a chill, because it's a risk that the miners have to take to earn enough to live. They have no choice. How much does a miner earn here?
That depends on the effort made by each team.
Okay. So each team shares the salary, or is it separate?
No, it's a team. When the bill arrives, we take the money, divide it up together afterwards, and everyone earns something. Because the main thing isn't whether one person is happy about what they make, it's raising our living standards.
Okay.
That's the basis of the problem. It's living standards. As soon as living standards get better, things are good.
It's good. Several reports have recommended that the mines be made safe or closed. This simple recommendation, without any funding, has had no effect. But if the mines had been closed, as the reports advised, this would have thrown the miners even deeper into poverty. What if they took away your work permit?
If they took away our work permits, there'd be a civil war. There'd be a civil war.
C'est la guerre civile. C'est l'entrée du village.
C'est vous qui l'avez construit?
Did you build it yourselves?
C'est nous-mêmes.
Yes, we built it. Here's our children.
Et vous l'avez appelé comment?
And what's the name of the village?
Silan Simba.
It's hard here because there's no water and we have to buy it.
She said it's hard here because there's no water and we have to buy it. This is the Digital Congo restaurant and bar. That's where the married or single men eat.
Hello?
Hello?
What's your name?
Modesty.
Modesty?
Yes.
And you look after the restaurant?
Yes, yes.
It must be difficult to feed everyone, isn't it?
No problem.
No problem.
Yes, yes.
So, this is where the diggers eat. And this is food for diggers. Those are the metal bars that we use as benches.
Qui sert de banc pour s'asseoir, oui.
That's called Capolo,
Ça, c'est Thompson.
and that's Thompson.
How many people live here?
256. Mama Jackie. She also sells us cigarettes, sweets, biscuits. That's a double punch, and that's rum coffee.
And what is there for kids? Are there cakes, sweets?
There are sweets for kids, and there are biscuits as well. That's our phone box there, and that's the radio cassette repair shop.
Where's the phone box?
That's it.
And this is for repairs.
Yes, yes.
C'est une église, c'est là où les dimanches, le clergé revient louer l'Éternel, c'est ça. Là où le dimanche, le culte.
That's our church. It's our place of worship. And that's where we pray on Sunday mornings before we go to work.
Glorifier l'Éternel.
Direction Katanga province, the border with Tanzania, which minerals like coltan often pass through illegally. To assume fully a major role amongst other nations, Congo absolutely must fight against the smugglers who are unrestrainedly pillaging the country's mineral resources. Every day, over $2 million vanish over the border.
One of the programs of the governor is to stop smuggling, especially in the mining sector.
And that's why, at the head of anti-gang operations, there is Lucien, the widely feared boss of the Katanga police. This officer has declared total war on the mineral smugglers.
In this case, it's around $1 million in 3 trucks. Since this is concentrated cobalt and concentrated copper, these smugglers have to be punished. I think they should feel the full force of the law.
What does the law say they could get?
Oh, it's at least 10 years in prison. Taking out any cargo of minerals by smuggling and without any documentation, it's sabotage. Here it's the money they're stealing. They're bleeding the province and the country dry. The head of state and the provincial governors are working together to stop this hemorrhage. But you see, the transporters are foreigners, unfortunately with the complicity of some Congolese, and that's just no good. You know, the head of the provincial executive has just one objective, to develop this province, and we can't do that with smuggling of precious materials like this.
Does he know he's risking 10 years in jail?
I don't know. He doesn't know. But you know, the illiteracy rate's very high in Africa.
Okay, but that doesn't stop him being a thief.
Unfortunately, that is the sad reality. You know, at the border, I've had problems with the owners and their commission agents who were in on it. And they're often armed bandits, so we have to be ready all the time. I don't want to tell you exactly how we go about it, what we're prepared to do. Jesus' time has passed. You get punched, and you don't offer the other cheek. No, you get punched, and you come along. Hey, mister, wait. Okay, here he is. Take him along. Bring him with us. Have you handcuffed him?
Lubumbashi, capital of Katanga. Moise Katumbi is the governor of this province, which is as big as France.
Do you see that bus carrying workers? Before, workers got transported in trucks like cows, but I made a decision and I said no more trucks. No more transporting personnel in trucks, which most of the time were dumping trucks.
The governor has priorities: re-establish administration as quickly as possible, fight against fraud and corruption, reorganize the working of the mines, and stop the pillage of minerals.
Katanga is a geological scandal. There are so many minerals to be found in Katanga. There's copper, cobalt, coltan, zinc, and there's uranium as well. Some very big companies are here to help us. But there are also dishonest people who are here to pocket the cash and watch the population starve, like the English say, take and go. The road we're working on is the road that leads to the frontier. We haven't worked on this part here yet. But if you go a little further, the paths are being asphalted. They lead from this part here.
If the light is returning to Lubumbashi, it's no miracle, but rather thanks to a $5.7 billion Chinese contract signed in January 2008. This colossal contract is for 8,000 kilometers of railroad, 32 hospitals, 155 clinics, 3,300 kilometers of road, 2 dams, and 2 new airports. But this agreement with the Chinese is a risky bet for Congo's future. If, in exchange for this contract, the working of the mines is unprofitable, Congo will have to pay the difference, and that would certainly ruin the International Monetary Fund's plan to wipe off Congo's $5 billion debt. Thanks to the first taxes paid by the mineral sellers and to the donations collected by Katanga's governor, schools and universities will be renovated and reopened for all the children deprived of school and studies by the incessant fighting. It's one of the governor's main priorities because the illiteracy rate in the population sometimes is as high as 30%.
Since it's the start of the school year, I want to be certain that the children can study properly this year. At the secondary school, there are nearly 6,000 students.
Nous sommes en train de construire d'autres écoles.
We're building other schools, but it's not enough. The children used to have to sit on the ground. At least now they have benches. Everything has to be rebuilt. There are no ceilings, no blackboard for lessons, so it's difficult to make the children want to study. This young democracy, it's true, may take 50 or 100 years, but one day our grandchildren will see the light. If we only think in terms of mining products, we're a lost people. Coltan can be found everywhere. You can find it in the east and you can find it here in our province. Around here, for example, you find it beside Kalemi, on the north side of Katanga. And I could also mention Manono. As well, there's Coltan, which people mine in traditional ways.
Direction Goma, the capital of Kivu in the northeast of Congo. In this country, any overflight of the mining zone, whether by helicopter or plane, is extremely dangerous. Each flight puts the passenger and crew in danger. At any moment, our helicopter could become the target of rebel troops fighting for control of the minefields. Every day, there are armed clashes.
All those little white sacks are Coltan. Aren't they soldiers? Do those guys have guns? Yes, let's not hang around. Break off, break off.
Surprised by our presence, these miners work in fear of seeing armed groups come to steal from them or to kill them.
We're looking for Coltan. We work here. We haven't got enough to eat. We're looking for work. There's no work here in Congo. This is where we work, here in this hole, to feed ourselves. We work here to feed our families, our children, all my family. That's why we're working here. We're looking for work here.
And what are you looking for here?
Coltan.
And is there any?
Yeah, there is.
Charles Kazareka Kalawagi is Minister of the Interior and Justice. He's a high-ranking official, admired by politicians for his exceptional abilities as a negotiator and analyst. He's the key man in this situation. With him, the governor of North Kivu knows he has one of the rare people capable of disarming the most complex situations.
We have to end that which is preventing our development. There are territories exploiting the mining areas in which you find armed Rwandan groups, the Interamways who fled their country in 1994 after they were involved in the genocide. Because they're unwanted in their own country, they don't want to go back, and they get involved in mineral exploitation. There's a whole network with connections in Asian and Western countries. A network where minerals and weapons are bought and sold, but also markets, bargaining centers where they can go to sell, because the reality is that in some minefields, it's not them that work the ground or sell on. They have commissioning agents, brokers. It's a question of progressively rounding up these brokers and exposing all of them. There can't be peace as long as these groups continue to sow desolation in our villages. We all need to sit around the same table.
During the summer of 2008, in fragile peace, the negotiation table is just behind this wall, protected around the clock in fortress-like conditions. More than 60,000 soldiers are represented by the armed group's negotiators under the command of the United Nations. 2 French commanders are mandated to lead the discussions and reconcile the rebel groups. For the first time, a television camera is permitted to film the negotiations.
Our job is to establish with the groups the zones where different groups are in contact, and to see how, by working together with all of the groups, we can establish demarcation zones. The orange line is the contact line between the Mai Mai group and the CNDP. And there? For the moment, Minister, it's only a working document, and so the different groups haven't finished working on it yet.
It has now been 30 years since war began in Congo. General Laurent Nkunda, the head of the CNDP, ex-officer of the Rwandan army, is in military occupation of the east, and according to some, exploits the minefields there for Rwandan interests. In the face of this occupation, the Congolese have taken up arms beside the regular army. 2 armed groups have appeared, Mai Mai warriors and the Perico coalition.
As you can see on the map, each armed group has signed and therefore validated the information. The next job is to continue mapping in the presence of the CNDP. It's necessary that 1, we can respect the agricultural calendar, 2, that we can arrange for the displaced and refugee population to return home, and 3, as you all know, they're your children, the start of the school year is close, so we have to have the start of the school year. This is the work we're doing at the present. And I'd like to thank the group here again. From here the situation can evolve, and I hope that Amani means peace now. Exactly. Maybe we can have the opinion of the armed groups here today. Mai Mai Mogul.
Well, even though there have been incidents at Ushuru, incidents between the FRDC and the CNDP, that shouldn't prevent us from working. This is our country. We love it, and it's not because somebody wants to sabotage the Amani program that we're going to pull out. No, we're going to carry on working. We're ready for disengagement, and the Amani program will be completed.
Can you make the same oath, the same declaration of faith?
The Perico was born because of the CNDP, who were killing, raping, massacring the Congolese, and we're a coalition. We say that since we signed our act of engagement, the 23rd of January 2008, we've not pulled out of the Amani program, and we've not gone against our signature. We have never pulled out of Amani, and we are in the Amani program until it is completed. But we completely refuse to disengage without the CNDP.
That's one more obstacle. Yes.
We are the eternal enemies of the CNDP, and if the CNDP can't disengage, then neither can we. According to Article 4.6, it is clear that international facilitation should help the process to be completed. So we want to see concrete action in the fields.
The population accuses us of doing nothing, but a peace process moves along at its own pace.
What do you need, Colonel, to succeed?
For the moment, we're working technically with the different experts which will allow us to determine the current positions of all the actors in this situation, and with them in the field, placing buffer zones between the groups.
This takes a lot of time to negotiate?
Well, things are moving quickly at the moment, so we're trying to accompany that as best we can. It's a part of the country which just had the whole war, to start with the massive arrival of refugees from Rwanda fleeing the genocide there. Then the war of the AFDL in 1996, and then the RDC war in 1998. And that succession of things that have happened to the province make it vital that the focal point, the point we have to make our priority, is first to provide peace and security.
One of the first consequences of the war was the exodus of the population working in the mining areas. But the war completely changed the lives of the displaced population, and these men and women seem to have lost everything. Refugee camps spread out around the gates of the town of Goma for the nearly 2 million men, women and children that the war has deprived of everything by pulling them away from their native land. They are mostly populations of peasant farmers or herders. Life in the UNHCR camps is often difficult to bear. There is almost no hygiene. The black stone on the ground is the lava of Nyiragongo, the gigantic volcano that dominates the town. The food ration distributed to the refugees is 6 kilos of wheat per family each month.
I'm the father of 5 children, and they give me 6 kilos of wheat every 2 months or month and a half. And that's finished in a weekend, and the other days which follow are spent in misery, without food.
Day after day, for these families, the waiting becomes unbearable. The return of peace is now their only demand.
We'd like something in return. We want there to be peace in our land, because if there was peace, we'd have a lot. Because there we grow food, we trade it, and almost all the kinds of work there are. All we want is peace. That's the most important.
Working in the mines, finding coltan, gold, diamonds, is that a possibility?
That's fine. We do that, but it's the rebels that profit from that. It's the rebels that are there. There's no way we can go there, because if you don't have a gun, you can't get in there. Those that can make money from it, it's those who have the guns. Coltan, cassiterite, there's so many minerals there to look for. With peace, we wouldn't want for anything in our houses, in our homes.
Where are we now, Minister?
This is the Don Bosco Center. It's run by the fathers, priests, who've become real specialists in the care of young people. This is Father Mario. The center's enormous. Morning, Father Mario.
On the heights of Goma, the Don Bosco organization, funded by donations and by the provincial government of North Kivu, looks after children who have become victims of the war. Their parents have often been killed or abandoned their children to the dangers of the street when they fled the fighting. The priests of the Don Bosco organization often save the children from certain death. And then there are the girls who serve as sex slaves or children who have been raped, chiefly by the soldiers of Laurent Nkunda, who pillage the minefields. Here at Don Bosco, they have found refuge. Everything is done so they regain the will to live and learn a trade. This is the aim of the young republic, to offer a future to these children so that they can rebuild tomorrow's Congo.
She's of Rwandan nationality, and she was found at Masisi here in Congo in the mountains. The war caught her there, and finally, by escaping here, she ended up at the Don Bosco Center. She was picked up by the armed groups. Laurent Nkunda's soldiers abused her. They took her hostage and then used her as a sex slave. So she became pregnant and managed to escape. We waited until she gave birth, and she has. Now that she's had the baby, she can start school with the others this year.
Is it possible to punish those responsible?
Yes, it certainly is. We're creating a kind of task force, a kind of coordination, all of the organizations involved in stopping sex crimes, because it's become a calamity. In the single month of June, there were 3,000 cases of sexual abuse in North Kivu. That's enormous, too many. It has to stop.
The organization offers a new chance to these children who have already become adults to be able to learn a trade, like Kamatsi. You're an educator.
Yes, I'm an educator.
How long have you been here?
Here? I've been here for 3 years. Yes.
And before that, where were you?
Before that, I was here at the center. Father Mario looked after me and paid for my schooling. And now I've done my finals, and I'm waiting for my results.
And what are you going to do?
I'd like to do medicine.
Medicine?
Yes.
To care for people?
Yes, our children here.
The new hope for these children of the war is to have time to rebuild their lives in peace. And why are you here?
Me?
Yes.
My father and mother are dead.
They're dead?
Yes.
And how old are you?
I'm 18.
18?
Yes.
So here they looked after you.
Yes, Father Edward.
What's her name?
Davina.
How old is she?
She's a month old.
A month?
Yes.
The war leaves behind it its trail of suffering, and nothing will stop the trade and the exploitation of the mines. Direction Butembo, in the northeast of the country. It's the main area of coltan, gold, and diamond mining, but it's also the front line, a zone subject to military secrecy. We're with the Minister of the Interior on an inspection tour.
Merci beaucoup, ma fille.
This morning, the Minister is meeting with local authorities to observe the effects of his policies on the ground. That is to say, meeting the miners and establishing peace at any price. Your Excellency, Mr. Provincial Minister, in charge of the Interior, the detachment of police of Butembo welcomes you. We are ready to welcome you and to render you all honours on this occasion of your official visit to the town of Butembo. I invite you to review the police detachment. Ready?
Excellence, réveil de troupes, terminé. Pas de courser.
It's like this every time you visit?
Yes, it's the protocol. I'm the Minister of the Interior, and I'm met by the police, which is what the law requires, but also what leads to respect of the state. You know, it wasn't so long ago that there was no minister to take care of things. It's new. So it's in this fashion that we get the idea into people's heads.
On these verdant mountains in front of us, rich in gold, diamonds and coltan, a few months beforehand war still raged. Mai warriors and the troops of Laurent Nkunda clashed violently. But now, in August 2008, everything has begun to change. A university is being built and human rights are being taught.
And that's new. It's a step away from classic law, which is there for repression. But we think we must also promote human rights here.
What's useful about human rights?
Human rights are very useful, especially in a province which is still at war and where human rights have been systematically violated by armed groups. We're in a province which is still at war, and the country in general is still a country at war. We're still a long way from the rule of law.
The minister now wants to meet heads of businesses. He continues his visit to Butembo in the northeast of Congo at a relentless pace. Direction the town centre, more than 10 kilometers away from the future university. The wealth and reputation of Butembo come in the main from the mines, which stretch up to 300 kilometers away from the town. The wealth and reputation of Butembo come from the trading of gold, diamonds, precious stones, and coltan. In this town, where wealth is hidden behind thick walls, every access to the mining trading post is heavily guarded by well-armed police and soldiers. The town is under heavy guard. The coltan is carefully watched because there have been countless attacks by armed rebels coming from neighboring countries like Uganda, Kenya, and Rwanda.
He was called Kisoni, and his nickname was Kidubai, because he often did business in Dubai. He was in the mineral trade, and he was killed in broad daylight by foreigners.
par des sujets étrangers.
There were Kenyans and there were Ugandans.
Il y avait des Ougandais. Alors,
So,
grâce à la vigilance de la
thanks
police
to the
et de
vigilance
l'armée,
of the police,
nous avons arrêté les
we caught the
assassins.
murderers.
Mais
But this
c'est
man
vraiment cet homme-là,
is
on
really
a beaucoup
missed
regretté sa mort,
because he was one of the
parce qu'il est
pillars
l'un des piliers du
of the
commerce
town of
dans la ville de
Butembo.
Butembo.
By precaution in Joseph's business, where the coltan comes from is kept secret. Information about the origin of this precious material is never revealed because it could put the buyers in danger. Is that coltan?
Yes.
Where does it come from?
I don't know. From Magroji, I think.
And it's you that buys it?
Yes.
Joseph is one of the main mineral buyers in Butembo. He has an international reputation in the circuit of coltan sales. In his workshops, this wholesaler refines the coltan, which comes as a raw product straight from the mines in 50-kilo white sacks.
Well, here in general, the coltan holds about 30–31% soil.
Once the coltan has been refined in his workshops, the mineral is sent to China in the form of a brown powder.
And here is the technique we use at the moment. We put it in little bags.
This grinding operation takes over an hour. The coltan is crushed and reduced to a powder, then sifted. It is at this moment that coltan reaches its full value. Now it is worth its weight in gold.
We have the equipment, spectrometers, to measure the density. What we're looking for in the product is that the percentage of tantalium, of iron, and finally of titanium. At 18%, the client is reassured that the product is okay, and I'm happy to.
Is it possible to exploit coltan and not give it up to organized crime?
Here, we're sure that it's being exploited by our nationals and sold on by our nationals. But with the radicals, it's not clear, because with the radicals, everyone's involved in the exploitation, including foreign armed groups, especially Rwandan armed groups. The Rwandans are exploiting the mineral using Congolese middlemen.
But poverty always catches up with reality. To survive, children steal the mineral. It's a long way from the panel report, which aimed to reconcile universal ideals with the needs of the disadvantaged. The embargo on coltan, voted by the United Nations in 2001, has changed nothing in the human conditions of these miners that are unjustly referred to as the illegals, who are simply the Congolese.
That's what I found. A big kid there who had these 2 sacks.
Are you sure, kid? Show me your hand. Look at your hand. That's not a hand that's been trying to catch a fish. That's a hand that's been digging. That's a hand that's been digging. That's not a hand that's been fishing. So, you can keep your lies for yourself, huh? That's the product. And that on your hand is product too.
I found it in the river.
Oh, no, no, no.
In the water. In the water I found it.
Hang on, hang on. That's dirt, that's not fish. Stop, stop, you're not telling me lies. 25 to 30 kilos. There are 2 sacks. This one here is maybe 40 kilos. That makes around 70 kilos. Anyway, your hands are covered with gravel. Gravel, not fish. You understand? That's gravel there. Just look at your feet. Get up, get up. What's that? That's dirt, because you went looking for this. You got dirt on your feet and on your clothes, and that's sand. How old are you?
15.
15 years old, never. Show me your teeth. Those aren't the teeth of a 15-year-old. Those are the teeth of a 9 or 10-year-old. So what's your real age? When were you born?
1993.
1993? Never, never.
Jamais. Vous volez.
You're stealing.
Dites le mensonge.
And as well, you're lying.
Et maintenant, vous dites
You
que vous
say
avez
you
15
came
ans.
looking for fish.
Jamais vous avez 15 ans.
And now you say you're 15 years old.
On est d'accord?
You're never
Dès qu'on
15
va
years
vous arrêter,
old.
on va vous mettre en prison.
That's enough. We're arresting you.
Allez.
And we're going to put you in prison. Come on. I'm going to hand you over to the police.
Mais ils connaissent rien d'autre.
They don't know anything else.
Ils connaissent
They
malheureusement,
don't,
ils connaissent
unfortunately.
rien d'autre.
Know anything else.
L'éducation des enfants,
Educating children is something
c'est autre
else.
chose que ça. C'est l'école.
It's school.
C'est pas cette école-ci.
It's not the school they know here.
Avec des livres, avec
It's another
des
school with
profs,
books,
avec
good
une
teachers, a
situation
stable
stable.
situation.
Tous ces
And all these
ONG, tous ces gens
non-governmental
qui disent
organizations and all these people who say they're bringing happiness to Africans.
Je sais pas.
I don't know.
After 2 years of relative calm, Laurent Nkunda, head of the CNDP, broke off the peace accords just before they were completed. Since then, fighting has resumed against the armed forces of the Democratic Republic of the Congo.